Culture is more than just entertainment. It's a lens into society, relationships, and human behavior. I'm Grace, and here on the Grace Report, we dive into stories beyond the headlines. Whether it's reality TV drama, celebrity scandals, or royal family intrigue, I'm here to break it all down. What it means, why it matters, and how it reflects the world we live in. Join the conversation, share your take, and let's make sense of the culture shaping our lives one story at a time. Here we are. Happy Tuesday. Good morning, sunshines. How are y'all doing? As you can tell, we've got so much more light coming in today, which is super duper wonderful for us all. By the way, let me see who's in the chat. Let's see who's here. I didn't even actually get to take a peek before I started filming. Good morning to everybody here. I see we still don't have our lovely Theo. He must still be busy with his move. Shout out to you, Theo. We miss you. We haven't seen Boss Lady in a while. We miss you too, Boss Lady. We hope you're doing well. And everybody else. We've got Stephanie in the house. Hello. Good morning, Chocolate Drop as well. Kristen Dimani, from Philly. Nice. Cynthia, Monica, Ashley, Caroline, Tadisha, Ona, Shai. Who else? Michelle is here. Kahara's here. Alicia's here. Ashley's here. Huckleberry, Bree, Lucky, Messy's here. Good morning, Messy. Nice to see you. Good morning, Ash and Emmy. Good morning, Tanya, Becky, Cecilia, Squirrel, Leah, Autumn Breeze. Everybody, it is so nice to see you. Autumn Breeze, I see you changed your photo. I like this new one too. Super pretty. So, guys, wow, did you have a good Monday already? Are y'all gearing up for Easter weekend? I actually had to just go to the post office this afternoon because I sent this letter, registered mail. And typically when you send registered mail, it arrives rather quickly, right? In a couple of days. And I sent it on the 2nd of April. And I've been tracking it consistently online. And they just told me, oh, it just left France. And I was like, what do you mean? I sent this over 2 weeks ago. So I had to march on over there. And it turns out that online tracking is just off. Apparently it already arrived in Canada. So I was like, thank God, because I need this to be delivered ASAP. It's already late. Let's chop, y'all. Good morning, Catfish, Nana, Leah B, Silver, Miss B, Hamlet's Princess, Susan, Luce, and Little Miss Fluffy and Melinda as well, you guys. So Monica says, I'm usually quiet, but thank you for doing these in the morning while I get ready for work. I love that. Well, thank you for popping by. Even if you're ever busy, you got your hands full or anything like that, don't worry. Your presence is enough. So shout out to you, Monica, and anybody else who might be silently watching while they do other things. Speaking of Star, where you at, girl? We miss you ever since you got back from Miami. Okay, Venisha's here too. Hey, Venisha, good morning. Tanisha says, your TikTok was featured on Hollywood Demons last night. Really? Oh, I did get an email. I have to go and take a look. Thank you, Tadisha. Do you remember which one it was? Because I did get an email from somebody saying that they wanted to use one of my videos. I thought it was going to be a YouTube video for a project of theirs, like a TV show of theirs. And y'all remember this happened on Housewives of Beverly Hills too. When in their debut episode for this season, they used one of my YouTube videos, but it wasn't my face or anything. It was just my audio. So thanks for that, Tadisha. I'm going to go check it out. And we were just talking about that show yesterday and the Taylor Armstrong episode of it all and whatnot. Wow. What a coincidence. Buenos dias, Erika. Whoop, whoop, whoop. Where are you joining us from? ¿Dónde vives? Wow. We got Latin America in here. We got Spain in here. What's tea? So much to discuss on today's episode of The Morning Report. We are going to be talking about Janelle calling 911 again on her son, Jace. Elijah spotted heading back over to Kail's house. Tyra Banks has moved to Australia, and I wanted to include this for all of my Australian viewers. We always get some Australian viewers popping in on the morning report. So shout out to you, Australia. That story is for you. And in addition to that, we're also going to talk about Nick Carter facing new, very serious allegations. Ray J and Princess get caught canoodling in a nightclub, despite being on their millionth attempt at getting divorced. We're also going to be talking about the ladies who went off to space and all of the criticism that they faced. I'm really looking forward to getting you guys' opinion on that. Lil Nas X ending up in the hospital with some sort of facial paralysis or inability to control half of his face. And of course, as promised yesterday, I did tune in to the Real Housewives of Atlanta, and I want to talk about that episode with you. Just a couple of little points that I wanted to share. And you know what? There's actually a last minute story, because when I was showering, I was listening to the friendship podcast between Becky and Kail, and y'all, the way that Becky and Kail were going at it this episode, I'm sorry, it was hostile. I was like, what's happening, y'all? Is everything okay? First of all, Becky says that we need to stop saying that she's flirting with Kail. Apparently, she's touchy-feely with all of her friends. And then she called Kail out for essentially discarding her. So stay tuned for that. We're going to talk about it. And listen, it wasn't written down, okay? So when we get to the Kail story about Elijah living in her house, please, please, please remind me in the chat. Make sure that I talk about this, okay, you guys, because otherwise I will forget. Shem Jem is here. Good morning, Shem Jem. Jessica too, good morning. So why don't we get started with the Nick Carter story, shall we? I think this is the second time that we're seeing very serious SA allegations against Nick Carter. So I am starting to be very suspicious about him. The first time, correct me if I'm wrong, but he sued the first accuser, right? So I was like, oh, like maybe this is one of those situations where somebody comes with fake allegations, because if he's going to sue a person, it means that he has nothing to hide, right? But now a second person is coming forward knowing that he sued the first person. I'm like, wait a minute. So maybe he just sued the first person to intimidate her with his money, even if he did do that, right? I'm looking at you kind of funny, Nick Carter. I am very, very, very disappointed in you. But the story comes from TMZ, by the way, but a woman is saying that Nick SA'd her and infected her with a bunch of STDs as well. And he is already clapping back, saying that she is lying. By the way, the woman is not suing him anonymously. Her name is Laura Penley, and she's saying that this happened multiple times. According to the lawsuit that TMZ got their hands on, she claims that she met Nick in 2004 when she was 19 years old, and then they started hooking up over the span of a couple of weeks. And he would refuse to wear protection and under the guise of being quote unquote clean from STDs. And apparently that was a lie, right? And so she says that this relationship had been going on for quite a while. And then there was a point, like it started off consensual, but then there was a point in 2005 where, according to her, Nick, she came over, she didn't want to sleep with him. He insisted, allegedly picked her up off the ground, threw her onto his bed, bent her over, and yeah, exactly. So now she is suing Nick Carter. And I'm sorry, Nick Carter, but I believe her. I do. This is too much, you guys. This is too much. I don't think that all these people coming out and suing you is nothing, you know? And this woman, she is taking the risk because she has seen what happens to other people who levy allegations against you, right? So I'm gonna, for now, say that I do believe her. Good morning, Jasmine, Shayna. Nice to see y'all here as well. Kail and her friendships are exhausting, says TD Chat, right? And buckle up. Get ready, because it is going to continue to get worse. I am telling you guys that within the next 365 days, we're going to be taking at least one break from the podcast that Kail does with Becky, because the way that, go listen to this episode. And there was another episode as well where Becky was just like dragging Kail left and right, essentially. It was a lot. Oh, Erica is in Seattle, Washington. Nice. Here I thought you were in like Colombia or something like that. I was so excited, but Seattle is beautiful too. Jessica says this story breaks her Backstreet Boys loving heart. Me too, honestly. I feel like the Backstreet Boys really was like that boy band, the ultimate boy band for, us millennials and other generations as well. And so just to see all of these crazy things come out, not even just the allegations against Nick Carter, but also the things that have transpired in his family, right? Like he's lost 2 or 3 siblings as well to addiction issues and whatnot. It really is so sad. Can't be bothered wants to know, why do we believe the woman already? I personally do, just because I feel like the story is very likely, just based off of how, she admits that they did have some sort of a consensual relationship at first. And then maybe there was a time where she thought, hey, I'm just going to come over. Maybe I wanted emotional support, friendship or something, but he insisted. And, he had it in his head that if I were here, it meant that I had to do this, that, or the other, and I feel like that is a story that happens too often to women. And just because this is not the first time we're hearing about him allegedly being inappropriate, I'm going to have to say, listen, where there's smoke, there's fire. However, we'll have to wait and see how all of this plays out in court, right? Because she is suing him. So we're going to have to see how that goes down. Hey, Jay, you made it. Nice to see you. Steph says a couple of times, I don't know. Washington football fan says, didn't Aaron, his brother, say he's not a good person? Jessica says Aaron made allegations too. So there you go. Apparently his brother had been trying to sound the alarm about him, right? And here's the thing. I know some people would say, well, Aaron, he was a rug addict. Like, what does he know? But, he was saying that. Jay says, yeah, he spoke out real loud about Nick when he was alive. Listen, does he have a book? Because one thing I really love doing is reading biographies. So I'm going to have to see if he's got a book or something like that. Because I used to watch their reality show when it aired on like MTV or whatever that station was. So I did keep up with it and everything. And they seemed rather tight knit like during that era, but it really felt like all hell broke loose afterwards. Bree says, where can you listen? Because she doesn't have a YouTube updated. Who doesn't have YouTube updated? Oh, man. Oh, are you talking about the podcast? Oh, I listened to it on Spotify, Brie. Shayna says, don't the Carters have a new documentary coming out? I feel like I've seen ads. I heard, but I don't know if they are officially participating in it. I do think that it's being made about them from an outside source, and maybe one or two people participated, but it's not maybe like an officially authorized documentary spearheaded by Nick or anything like that. Like he says, they still got it, but as a Backstreet Boy fan, Lord Jesus, Nick, your early 20s was something else. Get it together. Also, Aaron's twin has a documentary coming out. Okay, there you go. ID did a documentary about them as well. Oh, Nick Carter, it's not looking good for you. Where there's smoke, there's fire, y'all. Monica says, I got to start driving to work, but I'm going to have my phone. Wonderful. Thank you so much for tuning in, Monica. And FYI for yourself and other people as well, I do upload the morning report onto Spotify as well after. So if ever you guys need like something that takes up less data, it does exist on Spotify as well. Why don't we get into our Ray J and Princess story, y'all? These two have been not divorcing for the past several years now. They're very toxic. They share two young, adorable children together. So I really wish that they would decide if they do or don't want to be together. You can imagine the shock that I felt when I was minding their own business on Instagram yesterday and saw this video of them booed up at the club. Take a look, y'all.
Look at this motherfucker. Hold on.
Yuck. So there you go. Looks like they're doing whatever it is that they're up to. I just find it to be so embarrassing for the both of them, especially for Princess, because Ray J has been obsessing over his ex, Kim Kardashian, for the past several months, right? And just making all of these raunchy comments about his intimate life with her, and just like acting like a stalker and a fan of her. We also saw him play Princess with her friend on Love and Hip Hop, Amara as well. So just for her to be entertaining this man who is completely unhinged, wasn't he going on a rant against his sister Brandy too? Like, girl, this guy, he's lost his marbles. You could do a million times better. I really don't understand why she is so hung up on him. Like there's so many fish in the sea, and this is what you decide to hang on to. Like, I'm sorry, but I just don't get it. I think she could do so much better. But listen, she's been with Floyd Mayweather, and I don't imagine Floyd Mayweather is all that nice to his girlfriends. I know that he likes to rent them designer things, and then as soon as they break up, they got to give it all back. So maybe to her, this is a come up, but I really, really wish that she knew that she could do a lot better than this. Michelle, you're so cute. Thank you so much. Hey, Reina. Buenos dias. Oh my God, I am loving all of the Spanish in here today from Maine. Nice to see you, Reina. Thank you. Hey, Steph. That's more than boot up. Exactly. You just know that they got it on after they were in the club. Lucky says Princess needs to stand up and get some self-esteem. I agree. She's such a beautiful girl. I think she's still got it. And I really want to see better for her, especially with the way that he has constantly disrespected her. Cal says these two are so toxic together. They just feed off each other. So unhealthy. I completely agree. And I hate that for their children. Tadisha says Princess and Ray J break up and get back together every 3 to 5 business days. Exactly. What's happening with their latest divorce? Like, I thought that like this time it was final. Didn't he leave LA to go live in Vegas? Like, what is this? Tanya says Princess is beautiful, but she must have low self-esteem because this is ridiculous. I sadly agree. Princess, I hope you take in, because that was what the majority of the comments on like the various videos of them boot up at the club were saying. People kept saying that Princess was too good for this. And so I hope that she does realize that she really is way too good for this situation. Now, speaking of raggedy situations, why don't we talk about Kail Lowry, Elijah Scott, and what's going on with them right now? Kail is currently mixing people up and trying to confuse us on whether or not she's with this man, okay? Whatever. Who cares? We've already discussed it ad nauseum. However, the U.S. Sun, they got some of their paparazzi people to follow Elijah, and they found pictures of him pumping up his car with gas, picking up McDonald's, and heading to Kail's house. So he was there for the entire weekend, taking care of the children while she was in New York over the weekend. So maybe, you know, they've got some kind of agreement going on right now. I don't know the extent of it, but it seems as though he still is, at the very least, interested in continuing to be an engaged parent. The article doesn't specify whether it was just the Scott children, the Lowry Scott children that were there, or if her other children were there as well. But I would like to imagine that Mr. Rivera was at home with his father. Maybe Marroquin was with his father as well. Maybe what are the other last names we have in that household? What is Lux's last name? What is Chris's last name? I can't keep up. What is Chris's Lopez? I think Lux is Lux. What are these children's last names, right? There's a Rivera in there. There's a Marroquin in there. And then I know that the two siblings from Chris have 2 different last names. One of them is Lopez, right? And the other one is Lowry Lopez or something like that. And then I think her children with Elijah have her last name as well. Right? Am I doing this right? Am I doing this right, y'all? That's their last. I can't keep up. I'm sorry. Hamlet says Kail needs a life coach that can help her figure her ish out. You know what? I actually think that would be amazing for her too. She's done therapy for so long. So, you know, and this is something we've been discussing on the channel or the morning report for a while now, but perhaps it's time for a life coach or something else, something different to step in. So, no, but the thing with like, oh, thank you. So Chris's last name is Lopez, but the children, one of them's last name is Lopez, right? And the other one is Lowry Lopez or Lopez Lowry or something like that. I cannot keep up, y'all. I can't. There it is. Thank you, Courtney. One is Lopez, the other is Lopez Lowry. So I believe it is Creed that is Lopez Lowry, because Kail wanted to go and change his last name. She originally gave him Lopez. Then she said, oh, me and your daddy aren't working out anymore. Let's take it away. Let's put Lowry. And the judge said, I am sick of you. Nope, you tried this with the other one. We're going to hyphenate it and call it a day. Leave me alone. And then just like Carl in the Chaos is saying, Isaac wanted, she started planting that into Isaac's head because her mom's last name, Boozy Susie's last name, is Irwin. And then Kail all of a sudden is enamored by this last name. She's suddenly like, oh, why do women give men the right to pass on their last name, and these men have nothing to do with the children? She's talking about how her last name, Lowry, is her father's last name, and she only met him once as an adult, right? And so she wants to have her last name be Irwin, but it's too late because of the branding that she has as Kail Lowry. Then she started putting that seed in Isaac's head, and you know that actually did cause some issues with Joe Rivera as well, because he's like, what are you even talking about, dude? No one in your family has a last name Irwin. You know, in your household of all the kids with all the last names going on. I'm here in his life, you know, like, why would you do that? That it's just so weird. That's not even your last name. Oh my God, a mess. Bless that girl, because it's such a headache to think about. So there you go. Like Ash and Emmy says, there's Rivera, Marroquin, Lopez, Lowry, and Scott. But I could have sworn she said that she was giving the kids with Elijah her own last name. Anyway, listen, it gives me a headache trying to figure out her baby daddy situation. So I will just leave it there. It's nice to see that Elijah still is involved with the children, because, sometimes it does happen that way, where if the man is not involved with you, he doesn't care about the kids that he shares with you, even if they are his biologically, right? So good on him for continuing to step up. However, there is something that I did want to share with you. So again, it's about the podcast episode that Kail and Becky put out today on karma and chaos. So let me go ahead and actually pull it up, because there was a moment there where I was like, Becky, do you like this girl? Because the way you're talking to her, it sounds like a little bit like, I don't know. So basically the backstory goes as follows. Becky, she had stayed at Kail's house for about 4 days. Apparently on the podcast, she said that her wife was there with her too, but I don't know. So she stayed at Kail's house to help her out when Kail kicked Elijah out of the house, right? And now she's saying, Kail, why do you pretend to care about your friends? I will let her tell you on her own, y'all, because when she said it, I was like, oh, damn, those are fighting words. It feels like she was sort of discarded after Kail didn't need her anymore, helping her in the household with the children. So go ahead, take a listen to this. And all of y'all in my live chat, please feel free to continue to leave your comments on the side. I will be posting them on the screen, okay?
With you, as if we should get it done too for our own well-being.
We absolutely should all be getting it.
But then you just wanted our support with you. You actually didn't care about us.
I do care, because without you guys, I'm nothing.
Shut the fuck up. That was so disingenuous.
But it's not.
Okay.
You literally moved in for 4 days. How could you think that? How could you think that?
And then she kicked me out, and I hadn't heard from her. I didn't hear from Kail. I left that house, and then I didn't hear from her. And she ignored my calls for a week.
That is not true.
It is true. You literally ignored my calls for a week. I don't care.
I do.
Why?
I texted you and said I love you.
Yeah, I don't care.
Oh.
I'm just ragging on you.
Okay.
That you did ignore my calls.
But I did accidentally FaceTime you while I was in the shower, and I was like, oh.
Awkward. Why do you pretend that you care about your friends? I moved into your house, you kicked me out, and you ignored my calls for a week. And Kail, she was just like trying to figure out how to navigate this. Listen, in Kail's defense, and I feel like she should have just said this, she was going through a very hard time, right? Like, she's just finding out on social media that the man she thought was the most faithful man on the planet, the most trustworthy man on the planet, was cheating on her on a trip that she planned, right? And like, it's great that Becky moved in there to help her. But when she left, because of course she had to go back home to her pregnant wife, Kail is now at home managing 7 children, 4 baby daddies, all the work that she's got to do, all the books that she's got to read. Like, she could have just said that she was overwhelmed with emotion, with responsibility, all these different things. So the fact that there was dead air over that, and Becky brought it up 2-3 times, I was like, and then there were other moments in the podcast as well where Becky just keeps on calling Kail out. Like, there's a thing about how Becky believes in ghosts and then Kail doesn't, and Becky believes in mediums and Kail doesn't. And then Becky wants to share the story, and then Kail's like, yeah, but I don't believe in this stuff. And Becky's like, okay, so then don't. And she shares the story. I said, girls, the girls are fighting. What is happening? I laugh at that every time too. These two, and again, their vocabulary leaves a lot to be desired. There are very many moments like this when you listen to their podcast. Pretty much every single episode is like that, and I feel like in Kail's case, where she's someone claiming me to read like a novel a day, 30 novels a month, you're like, really? And this is how limited your vocab is? All right. Raina says, Kail's addicted to the drama of being miserable. It really does feel that way. Listen, we call her Petty Betty for a reason. And I used to think it was mainly just like a baby daddy thing, but seeing how she navigates her friendships as well, like I think she needs to step it up a bit more. But her typical excuse for why she's not able to really show up as a good friend for people, and I do think it's somewhat reasonable, is that she's got many kids and many men, fathers of these children to be navigating, in addition to trying to keep her own head above water, right? So I get it and stuff, but it really felt like Becky dropped everything to be there for her. Like, isn't Becky in New Jersey and then she went to Delaware and everything? Like, so that was kind of awkward to hear, Damn. Kristen says that she loves it, and Kail needs someone to call her out. I agree, right? I agree. And I didn't catch this part about accidentally failed her in the FaceTime during the shower. I heard it, but it didn't click until I just saw what you said, Carl, in the chaos. She keeps on kind of like sprinkling some what is it? She's kind of like a low-key agent of chaos, right? Because at the top of this episode, they talk about how so many people are under the impression that the two of them are flirting. People feel like Becky isn't being respectful of her wife. And Becky tells us to back off. Now you've got Kail talking about how she accidentally FaceTimed Becky in the shower. What happens in the shower, y'all? You're typically nude. Very, very interesting. Lex says the woman was too stunned to speak, period. Oof. They said they had like I don't know who they have here. I think maybe it was like, what's the name of that girl? Oh, by the way, that girl, she was friends with V. Do you know she's brunette? She had a podcast with V, vibing and kind of thriving Alessandra. She's one of the people that were there for the taping of this. Listen, is V still friends with Alessandra, by the way? Because the way that Alessandra has navigated this, the disloyalty of it all. Because it is true that she was always working for Kail in the background, right? And I think it's okay that she continues to work for Kail, but it wasn't until Kail's falling out with V, and then the way she publicly dragged V, it wasn't until then that she started to bring Alessandra to the forefront. And Alessandra has been eating it up. Listen, the way my loyalty is set up, I don't know that I would be able to do that after someone called my friend who's been in, her stepson's life for like the entirety of his life, save for a couple of months. If someone said that she's a deadbeat, she's a user, she's this, she's that, after all she suffered, I would not be riding hard for that girl at all. Now, Courtney says, V and Alessandra did a whole episode. V isn't upset about Alessandra. Yeah, and I wonder, because I think at the time it was still, she's just working for Kail, which I too think is okay, unless V can offer her a job, right? Continue to work for Kail. But these days, she is very, very much in the foreground, filming these videos for Kail, like the birthday tributes, this, that, and the other. It's giving opportunist a little bit. Bree says, I saw Alessandra and was so disappointed in her, period, right? Oh, Lord. Sad. Ramster says, I always accidentally FaceTime people from the shower. It's a thing. Me too. Oh my God. Kail. Listen, if I'm not happy and if my relationship's falling apart, your relationship has to fall apart and you're going to be unhappy with me. I'm not doing this alone, right? Kristen says, definitely weird for her to latch to Kail so quickly after what went down, right? I don't know. Weird vibes. Sorry. Very weird vibes. Now, you guys, why don't we get into the Jenelle story? Because per usual, it's dramatic, or should I say dramatic? So let me go ahead and pull it up in another tab, by the way, because I want to play the audio for you guys. Shout out to the Ashley's Reality Roundup, because she got the exclusive copy of this 911 call that Jenelle had made to report her son Jace for allegedly smashing things in and around her house. This is not the first time that Jenelle has called 911 on her son. Listen, and I'm not saying this to be, derogatory towards Jace or anything like that, but this is exactly what we all were afraid of, right? When we saw Jenelle on that show, pregnant, we all said, oh, Lord have mercy. God bless this child, because this child is going to have a hard time standing any kind of a chance with her. Right. And then she gives birth to the child. We see how she is and how, uninterested she is in parenting, all the yelling, all of the drugs, all of the fighting. I still remember her and her mother screaming in this child's ear as she's holding her. Like the amount of chaos that child had been exposed to from a very, very, from birth, right? Even pre-birth. Wasn't she over there doing rugs while pregnant with him, allegedly, it this stuff is not surprising. And this is why it's so important to make sure that you and whoever you are having a child with are in a good and healthy place, because this affects the possibilities that your child has for having a successful life. Unfortunately for Jace, I think that all hope of him having a successful life has been kind of almost destroyed by Janelle. And I really truly hate that for him. He was such a beautiful child. I always thought he was the most gorgeous child on Teen Mom too. He was the cutest little baby. He was a sweet baby. He was so in love with her. He always wanted to hug her. He always wanted to be held by her. And she just would always just be leaving him, running off and everything as he cries at the front door. All of that adds up, and all of that can lead to things like this. Not only that, but when you also throw in all of the random boyfriends, including one, who turned into a husband and who allegedly strangled him, and then you went online to blame your child for that and to support your husband and say that your husband did that because he needed to protect the family from your child, it's not surprising. It really isn't. So take a listen to the audio 911 call. Once again, this is coming from the Ashley's Reality Roundup.
Saturday, April 12.
So can y'all hear that? Let me know in the chat, because sometimes I'm thinking y'all are hearing something. And meanwhile, we're just sitting here staring at each other. So please do let me know. Let me go ahead and play it.
2025, 15, 41 and 31 seconds.
911 emergency, Cribs 15955. Do you need police, fire, medical?
Yes.
Do you need police or
is-
medical?
Huh?
Police or medical?
Police.
What address do you need police to?
Street.
What do you need police for?
My son is smashing everything in the house, and he's smashing everything in the house.
Okay.
I need a police officer to come here.
Okay.
Right
Is
now.
anybody injured?
No, but there's debris of broken door everywhere. He picked up the cage, the dog cage, and fucking threw it. Sorry for my language.
Did he throw it at you or at the door?
No, he threw it down the steps.
Okay. All right. And what's his name? I've already got a call for that. What's his name?
Jace Evans.
Jace?
Yes.
And what's his date of birth?
08/02/2009.
And I'm just going to get his description. Is he white, black, Hispanic, or Asian?
White.
And how old is he?
15.
15. And how tall?
Huh?
How tall?
Like 5'2".
Is he thin, medium, or heavy build?
Athletic.
And what color clothing does he have on?
Right now he's wearing a purple hoodie.
And what color pants?
I'm not sure. And he just tried to leave the house.
Okay. Any drugs or alcohol involved?
No.
Okay. Any weapons?
Not that I know of.
Okay. Is he diagnosed bipolar, schizophrenia, anything like that?
ADHD and defiant disorder?
Okay. Does he take medication for that?
No.
Defiant disorder?
Yes.
Okay. Are there any cameras at the house?
Yes. But currently they're just outside.
Okay. And what is your name?
Say again, sorry.
That's all right. Your name?
Janelle Easton.
Can you spell your first name for me?
JENELLE. Last name EASON.
And a phone number for you? All right. If he tries to leave at this point, I don't want you to get injured. So just let us know if he leaves the house. We've got his description so we can look for him, okay? We've got
All
the
right,
call
thank
set
you.
up. If anything escalates before we get there, call us back on 911.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Bye.
So there you go. That was the 911 call that Janelle had placed against her son, Jace. And I did see quite a few of you guys' comments about how Janelle was with Tori all weekend, which is very interesting because it's not even like she and Tori were in North Carolina, right, where she lives all weekend. In fact, they were in Arizona, were they not? So did one of the children kind of alert her to this? Was Jace supposed to be in charge of Kaiser and Ensley? I am kind of curious about what really was happening here and how she was aware of this. And I'm also kind of curious, like, was there a babysitter or something like that? Because Jace is 16 years old, which, you know, it's kind of young to be looking over children for like a weekend or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong. I did also see some of you guys' comments, like this one that Hamlet's Princess left, talking about posts that Jace made on Instagram. I don't follow any of the children on Instagram, so I have no clue what he's posted there. Hamlet, Courtney, anybody else who saw them, what did he post? Because now I'm kind of nervous to know. And good morning, Acacia. So nice to see you. And Caroline, I thought the same thing too. When she said that he was 5'2", I said, no, girl, you're 5'2". Maybe she thought that the operator was asking about herself and not about Jace's height, because I'm pretty sure that he is probably at the very least like 5'7" or 5'8". And I'm laughing because of Cindy's comments. Cindy says athletic because she only knows Tinder descriptions. You know, when I figure out how to put some people on timeout, go sit in the corner. You are crazy. Acacia says, so sad, but product of his environment. Poor kid never had a chance with her as a mother. I agree. And it's really, really so unfortunate. Because I think that, you know, obviously every child should be given the best environment or opportunity to succeed. So when you see people like Janelle do this to not one, not two, not just two, but 3 children, oh my God. Because yeah, for now it's Jace, but I wouldn't be surprised if all of her children were to have these kinds of issues, right? And I saw someone else leave a comment about like Barbara, and listen, this is what I've always said about Barbara too. Listen, she's 0 for 3 in her children. So I do think that there's something to be said for that. I think that Barbara probably should have been child-free, just like Janelle should have been child-free. It's very, very, very heartbreaking and disappointing to see. And so now Courtney has an update about, or in Hamlet as well, about what Jace was posting. Apparently he posted on Instagram that he needs someone to save him. Courtney says he's posting about being seriously depressed. Oh no, and his mom not believing him. My heart breaks for this child, really. He deserved so much better. So much better. So this is how your child is feeling. Apparently you don't believe him. And not only that, but instead of trying to figure out how you can help him, you're out on vacation in Arizona with your on and off again friend, posting, you know, nude content on the internet or whatever. Like, that's really sad. I forgot that she doesn't even live in the Carolinas anymore. She lives in Vegas. That's really, really sad. So I guess, you know, maybe when they went to Arizona, it was a little bit of a day trip or something like that. Then she went back to Vegas or something. Oh my God. Poor Jace. I've always felt so devastated for him. He was such a beautiful child and he deserved so much better. I don't remember this sort of drama happening to him when he was living with Barbara, right? I hate that she ultimately caved and handed over custody to Janelle. This is just too much for Jace, really, way too much. Carl in the Chaos says, did you notice she said he was 15 and didn't know what he's wearing? How? WTF, right? She's so checked out, it's insane. Cammy says, if anyone should have been adopted as a baby, it's Jace. I agree. Can you imagine if Jace went to his own Brandon and Teresa-like family, what kind of a life he'd be living now? I wouldn't be surprised if he were a scholar now, right? But you have to remember that he's still fighting against the genetics that that Janelle, you know, and her family have, right? And Janelle especially, because Janelle, what has she done? Wasn't she like allegedly smoking weed when she was pregnant with all of these children and whatnot? Maybe she apparently she didn't really stop with her party girl lifestyle. So although I think he definitely would have had a better life with like a stable family, I still think that there's some like genetic components as well that he would still be fighting against. And it's just so devastating. It really, really is. Oh my God. Oh, YouTube Addicts has, I live in Vegas. I would take our internet nephew in. So sweet. And that's the thing that is so crazy is how many of us are perfect strangers, yet we have so much more love and compassion and empathy for this child than his own mother has. I am still so shook about the fact that, remember what she did when David was accused of strangling him. The campaign she led on the internet to have us all believe that Jace is toxic, he's crazy, the family needs to be protected from him. Like, that is the type of damage that can never be undone. Truly, 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 right? And Ramster, you have to have a diploma for everything, but any idiot can get pregnant. Jasmine says that's heartbreaking. I hope Jace gets real help as soon as possible. Same here. Jace deserves so much better. I really wish, I wonder what there is, for the average person to do to help Jace. Does Jace know that he is supported? Again, I don't look at the Teen Mom Kids as like social media, but I'm gonna have to go and take a look and see, are people being nice to him in the comments and maybe offering him support or something? Because I really do feel like so many viewers love and support him, and so I would hope that that translates into him realizing that, it's going to be okay one day. He only has 2 more years or something like that with Janelle before he can be on his own. I wonder if he could even get emancipated. All About Minnie says Janelle is the worst mom to have been on the franchise because at least Amber lets her children be raised in stable environments. I agree with you, right? She's at least let them go and live with healthy, stable fathers. Keisha says, I will never forget how confused he was in the queue. Oh, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that. In the car when she gaslighted him and called him a liar when he was telling the truth about her pulling out that gun. Oh, God. Jenelle, you have done so much damage to that child. You really should be ashamed of yourself. How you even manage to sleep at night is beyond me. I don't even know what I would do if I had harmed anyone, let alone my child to that extent. Tanya says that hurts my heart to know he was posting that. She moved him away from his home and any support he had. Pray for Jace, y'all. Pray for Jace. I'm so sad for him. He deserved so much better. You guys, did you get to see this all-female space flight yesterday, Blue Origin? So on it, there was Lauren Sanchez, of course, Jeff Bezos's girlfriend, and Blue Origin is owned by Jeff Bezos. Katy Perry was there with a daisy in honor of her daughter, which I thought was cute. Gayle King was there. She looks much happier in space than she looked when they were like ringing the bell, getting ready to board. I wanted to know what y'all thought about it because there's been so much controversy surrounding it. And I think that a lot of mainly female celebrities have been speaking up against this space flight, right? So we've got Olivia Munn, who said, basically, there's people that are dying. We don't have money for eggs, this, that, and the other, but y'all are going to space acting like it's this huge feminist accomplishment. Emma or whatever, Radikowski, she had some things to say. She called it a trip that was killing the environment. Olivia Wilde has also had negative things to say about it. I got to be honest with you guys. I do understand the criticisms, especially when they come from regular, everyday people like you and I. But when people with so much power and influence, and I got to be honest, I don't know what these people really do for charity. Like I don't really associate them with charity. So I do find that to be a little bit rich. Emrata saying that it's an environmental killing thing. Like when this girl is always bragging about being on private jets, like, I don't know, something about it is kind of odd to me. I will say though, that it was a little bit dramatic for what it was, right? Only 10 minutes. They flew up there, flew back down as quick as they got up. Like all of that fanfare and hoopla for that to me was a little bit ridiculous, right? You hear all the time about men going into space, especially with SpaceX, but I never really saw as much pushback or criticism against it. But now when women are going into space, all of a sudden everybody wants to talk about how wasteful it is or this or that. Like, to me, I don't know. I get that it was a waste for sure, but they go to space all the time. They do, right? And I never saw so many people come out when men are going. So I don't know. I felt like something was a little bit off about the criticism. And I felt like something was a little bit hypocritical about the people criticizing them as well, especially when it comes to Radikowski, because she loves herself a private jet. So spare me when it comes to, you pretending that you are an environmentalist all of a sudden. Exactly, Tadisha. The whole thing lasted a total of 10 minutes. So to go ahead and use up all that fuel for 10 minutes is a little bit ridiculous. Lou says, I do care about the ozone being messed up for a joyride. Yeah, I agree. Same here. Same here. Lex says, was there even a scientist on board? We have so many women in STEM and this is what they do. And I do think that that could have been more interesting too, to have like actual, female scientists going up there, rocket scientists and whatnot. But I think that this was a PR stunt for Jeff Bezos and Blue Origin, because typically when you're thinking about going into space, you're thinking about Elon Musk's company, SpaceX. And so I think he wanted for his own company to, finally be at the forefront of that conversation. And this was the perfect way to do it, right? Feminism, of course. Gwen says it was definitely a total waste. I agree. Ramster says, in other news, Gayle King and Katy Perry preaching we need to save the planet and throw away our cars. Right? They're always so hypocritical. It's insane. Cindy says, I've been complaining about the men too, but no one listened because I'm a woman. Well, there you go. To me, so long as they're complaining about the men too, okay. But I do not remember seeing Olivia Munn, Em Ratajkowski, or Olivia Wilde come out and complain when the men were out there flying into space. Okay. Keisha's not impressed with the 10 minutes either. Same here. Steph wondered if they updated their wills before leaving. Look, it felt like maybe at the very least, Gail did, because she looked like she was nervous that she was not coming back. So I would hope that she did. Michelle says, it's been done enough times now. It's no different than anyone going on vacation or a car ride, right? Like it kind of has lost a little bit of its luster. Gwen says, don't forget, wealthy people don't pay much tax over here. So that's why they're wasting money, while 1/3 of American children are food insecure. And it's just so damn sad. It is, right? Congratulations on what exactly? Going to space. Okay. Did you do anything in there? Or did you just go take a look left and right, float around for a little bit and come back down? Just saying. Just saying. Thanks so much for joining us, Hamlets. Have a great day at work. Y'all, by the way, AMJ says that there was a scientist and an astronaut on there. Okay, so that's good to know at the very least. But I wish that they were more of the forefront than these girlies. But again, stunt. Jeff Bezos is a bit of a stunt queen, and he needed these famous faces for that. Ramster says, why was Oprah crying? Listen, if you were about to potentially lose your wife, wouldn't you be crying? You guys, give me a second. I got to take a water break. And on the flip side, we will be back to continue with more of our stories. We're going to talk about Tyra Banks moving to Australia with her son and boyfriend, Lil Nas ending up in the hospital, and what went down on Sunday night's episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta. If you're enjoying today's episode of The Morning Report so far, please don't hesitate to give it a thumbs up, and I'll catch you on
The Morning Report is brought to you by Philo. Watch your favorite shows and movies from over 70 different channels, including MTV, TLC, WeTV, and more for only $28 a month. Get a free trial today by clicking the link in the description box of this video to get your free trial up and running. Are you looking for the perfect skincare products for women over 30? Look no further than Rothia. Rothia is a skincare brand born from love and made for parents. Their flagship product, the Resilience Cream, delivers clinically proven age prevention benefits such as average 14% wrinkle reduction after 4 weeks of use. Click the link below and receive 30% off your first purchase today.
Steph, Becky, if Becky's wife were up there for those 10 minutes, Becky would have drove over to Kail's house and missed the whole thing. She said, I am not missing out on an opportunity to be with my girl. Now, you guys, I did see this interesting comment from Jen, by the way. So shout out to you, Jen, for this comment. She says, I don't know. I get the point of the people speaking out against the space flight, but like, was Bezos going to spend that money saving hungry children? He was not, right? He wasn't. In fact, aren't his delivery drivers suffering too? Like, aren't they having to still pee in bottles to get paid and meet their quota while this man is spending all his money on this type of stuff? Even in the engineering world. So my brothers are engineers. One of them, he lives in California, and he likes to work for like, the big companies, right? Like the Google, LinkedIn, these types of things. But the one big company that he would not work for, is Amazon. They do not have a good reputation, even amongst engineers. It's not just with, people who are doing deliveries or anything like that. Just in general, they're not known to be very generous or very caring of their employees. Now, you guys, why don't we get into the Tyra Banks story? Once again, shout out to my Australian co-reporters. You guys got a beauty queen in your midst. Tyra actually moved to Australia a couple of years ago, and nobody seemed to notice, y'all. She's now opening up about it. So she's over there with her partner, Louis Bélanger Martin. And I thought he was French, but he's Québécois. So she's got a Canadian man with her over there in Australia. So why exactly is Tyra Banks in Australia living there with her son and her boyfriend? Here's what she had to say. I have this ice cream company. I've been going to Australia a lot because we were making a lot of our ice cream there in this big facility doing our recipes. I just fell in love with it. Every time I went back, and 3 countries that eat the most ice cream are America, New Zealand, and Australia. So I was like, I'm happy here, and they love to eat ice cream. So are we going to do this, family? And we did. And so, by the way, her ice cream store, she's going to open 3,000 square feet, and her ice cream is called Smize and Dream, and that store is opening in Sydney, Australia, you guys, very soon. So keep your eyes peeled for that. If you are living in Australia, or if you're planning on visiting Australia, that could be very, very, very cool, right? I think that's a rather interesting name for ice cream, Smize and Dream. It's not something that I would have expected, but okay. I'm happy for her. One thing I love about Tyra is that she never gives up. She's always on to the next challenge, the next accomplishment, and I think it's a beautiful thing. However, I will say that I'm rather surprised that it was so easy for her to move there with her son. Her son, York, is 9 years old, and she shares him with her ex-boyfriend, who is like this Norwegian guy. So at this point, I'm like, okay, do they have this kind of special custody situation? Is the guy just not all that involved? What's the tea there? Not that it's any of my business, but listen, it wasn't my business that she was living in Australia anyway, but she let me into her business. So I feel like I have the right to ask, don't I? So let's see what y'all have to say. Good morning, Ashley. Nice to see you. Good morning, Caroline. MJ says, wow, even the engineers too. Yup, even the engineers, they're not really all that fond of it. They're fighting to work Google, YouTube, LinkedIn, these sorts of things. What is that other thing? It starts with an S. It's like a SaaS company. They're not fighting to work at Amazon. Caroline says, Tyra, those strange critters will send you back. Apparently the insects and stuff are huge in Australia. But a lot of people who move there love it. I had a friend from elementary, and she's been living in Australia, I think, for as long as I've been living abroad as well. And she's just so happy over there. She is happy as a clam. She's always on a boat or a beach or something like that. That's really, really beautiful. And I'm kind of jealous of that. I don't like long flights. So I feel like that's probably why I still haven't really ventured over there. But it seems like a really cool country to visit. Now, you guys, Lil Nas X, he's back in the hospital. And this time it's not to give birth. He's not pregnant this time. He's in the hospital because he cannot move half of his face. And this just reminded me of Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber. Didn't they have a similar issue as well? Take a look at the video, and then we're going to talk about it on the flip side, okay?
And when I smile, this is me doing a full smile right now, by the way. It's like, what the fuck? Bro, I can't even laugh right, bro. What the fuck? Oh my God. So, oh my God, bro. So, yeah.
What is going on with the youngsters? They're having very serious health issues. And thank you, Acacia, for putting a name to it, because I was just thinking paralysis or something like that. Bell's palsy. Why is this affecting people who are younger and younger? Is there something that we need to be on the lookout for? Because I know, for example, colorectal cancer, the majority, or like there's a huge uptick of people who are passing away from it, and it's not older people, it's younger people, because of, you know, the terrible diet that younger people tend to have, the processed food and whatnot, not enough fiber. I need to look into what happens with Bell's palsy and how people develop it, and what we can do to protect ourselves, right? It's very scary when you hear about young people, especially having these kinds of very, very serious health issues. It makes me nervous. I don't know what's going on, y'all. Stephanie, by the way, says she wants to move to New Zealand. I've heard good things about them too. That seems like a really nice, fresh, crisp country. I just know the air is like delectable. Like you can eat it. Apparently it's so fresh. Every time I think of New Zealand, I think about the haka and everything, and how just majestic and beautiful that is. So beautiful. That seems like a really lovely country too. Lauren says, I visited Australia once, would definitely move there if I could. The 16, you see these long flights, I can't do it. Even flying back to Canada, even though it's only like 6.5 hours, I am like, oh my God, because I'm so used. And that's what I love about living in Europe, is the flights are like an hour and a half or something like that. I just booked my flight to Barcelona for my summer vacation. It's like an hour to get there, and then like to go from there. So did I tell you guys my itinerary? My friend and I were going to Barcelona. Then after that, we're going to go to Mallorca. Then after that, we're going to go to Ireland and eat, and then come back to Paris. And this is all for the Beyonce Cowboy Carter concert. And each flight is like an hour and a half or something like that, maybe 2 hours maximum. So I'm just so used and spoiled with this way of traveling that I just cannot stand long haul flights. Teen Mom Secret Fan says, people ages 1, 2, 3, they won't remember. Wrong. This is when they form what I call formation years, or the formative years. So it looks like you're now tuning in from the beginning. Steph says, what's happening with these people happen to Justin Bieber? Exactly. What is going on? Why is this happening to them? Right? Why? What's going on? And this has been since, when did Justin Bieber and Hailey Bieber have those issues? Like it was 2021 or something like that. This is like something like in the 2020 era. Kate says, can be from immune responses, viruses, vaccines, etc. Yeah, maybe. I'm feeling that way. Like that could be a culprit. Bree says, it's the food. It's sad. Yeah, I think so too. I feel like there's just so many factors at play right now. Unfortunately, we're in a very, very complicated time as far as nutrition goes, and as far as, we survived a massive pandemic as well, right? And outside of that, there were other major viruses that aren't spoken about as much as the coronavirus was. Team Mom's Secret Fan says, I have Bell's palsy. I got it in 1997. I was pregnant, and they say pregnant people are more likely to get it. Really? So sorry to hear that. And how is it managing it, like on day to day? Like it's okay, like you still get to have a pretty good quality of life. So then that explains how Lone Ass X got it then. Because when was he pregnant? I think he was. I'm so messy. When did he shoot that video? What was it? Call Me by Your Monstero or something like that, like a year and a half ago or something like that. Hey, JC, nice to see you. Oh, wedding anniversary, 16 years. Happy wedding anniversary, Jay-Z. Happy wedding anniversary, JC. So beautiful. What are you guys doing to celebrate besides watching the morning report? Wow. Lucky says they might be taking some rugs that's popular in celebrity circles, right? Maybe. I'm very, very suspicious. It's alarming. It's alarming. After this episode, I think I'm going to go take a look and see. I'm a health nut these days, you guys. I really am. I actually even started counting my calories and my macros and stuff in my Fitness Pal. And I'm so obsessed with this stuff right now. Lucky says they might be taking, I think I already saw this. Sorry about that. Let me go take a look at Alyssa's comment I wanted to see. Alyssa says, my husband's friend recently was in the hospital as well with half of his face not moving. He's only 24. Oh, this is scary. What is happening? What is happening? Oh my God, more 20s. Love you, Raina. I'm happy that Elon, no, it wasn't Elon. Who was the guy from Blue Origin? You're right. SpaceX had the other astronauts out forever. Those poor people. Don't you lose some bone density the longer you're out in space or something like that? It was really terrible for their health to be stuck out there for so long. Jasmine says stress is the number one cause of Bell's palsy, or at least according to the doctors. Listen, between the health, between vaccines, pandemic, malnutrition, now stress, I'm not surprised. I feel like young people do have a lot to be stressed about. Listen, life has been hard for young people. It's just thing after thing, financial crisis after financial crisis. pandemics, all this stuff, like it's hard. It really is. So I'm not surprised that like they're getting more and more stressed. Steph says, yeah, everything clean, fresh produce, clean air, good living. Yeah. You need to do a whole vlog from the start to the end of your Barcelona trip. Yeah, I'll try to do a little something for you guys over there in the channel member section, okay? Teen Mom says, I'm 49 and still have Bell's palsy. As I was pregnant, I chose not to take the steroids, so no medicine. I had to tape my eye closed at night and relearn how to use my mouth. I can't whistle anymore. The only information I've gotten is it's a virus in the ear area. I'm not sure if true. Wow, so sorry. I had no idea. Wow. Best of luck to you and everybody else who is dealing with this. Lil Nas X as well. I'm glad that he was able to make it to the hospital as quickly as possible, and I hope that he makes a speedy recovery. It looks like Justin Bieber and Haley managed to make speedy recoveries. In fact, didn't one of them say they had a stroke? I think Haley had a full-blown stroke, right? Wow, it's scary, guys. Oh, Lord. Take good care of your health. It's all we have. It's all we really, truly have in this life. Now, why don't we talk about the latest episode of The Real Housewives of Atlanta? Why don't we, okay? We are going to go over in today's episode of the Morning Report again, which I love. It means, we're having a great time. We got a lot of juicy things to discuss. So we are picking up in the aftermath of Kenya Moore using her grand opening to humiliate her arch nemesis, Britt Eady. Britt Eady is at her home crying about the situation. And her husband, listen, I asked this in Monday's episode of the Morning Report, but does her husband know he's her husband, or is this just someone like playing a part for her? Because the fact, like, he acted like a random stranger on the couch, just broke into his house and started crying there about her problems. So he's like hovering over her there. And in this photo, you would think he's trying to, oh, sorry about that, go home now, take care. And then after, I thought he'd hug, right? So he leans lower. And I'm like, oh, good, you're going to hug your wife. No, he just like does this position and waits for her to put her arms around him. I said, oh my God, what is up with this guy? He is so odd. But okay, better her than me. Now, Kelly was such a superstar this episode. I really do like her. I thought it was sweet of her to come by their home to bring food for not only Britt, but her husband as well, because Kelly imagined, like we all imagined, that her husband would be affected by this. She didn't realize that he was just like unbothered by it all. So she kind of low-key brought the food for nothing. So they sit there, they eat the food together, and they talk more about how terrible what Kenya did was to Britt. And I do agree that it was a terrible thing that Kenya did to Britt, to use your salon opening for that, especially after talking about how this salon is for your daughter and how this is supposed to prove to your daughter that she could do anything, like putting your daughter, right, who's what, like 6 years old, in a sentence, and then turning around and bringing up actually explicit photos of a woman giving fellatio at your salon where other people are supposed to, women are supposed to congregate and potentially bring their own children to get their hair done. It was one of the stupidest things I had ever seen. Truly, truly, truly stupid. Jasmine says Shamia was more affectionate towards Portia than Britt Tubby was with her, right? And, Shamia is such a sweetie pie. She really is. And, just watching her have all of this hurt from the way that Portia reacted to her song and then be like, you know what, but like, she's going through a hard time, so I don't want to kick her while she's down. I want to like focus on her right now. I was like, oh, you are too good of a friend. You really are. I don't think that Portia deserves you, if I could be very, very honest with you, Shamia. And I'm glad that she has finally opened her eyes up to this, because now she is finally taking her distance from Portia. By the way, does anyone else find that this image of Portia, right? Hang on, let me pull it up. Red wedding dress. Because I was thinking about this and I meant to pull up a picture of it, but I forgot to do so. However, when I saw her in this confessional with this dress, I couldn't help but like be reminded of that red wedding dress that she wore. Like, I think it's like the beading of it and everything like that. Like, I don't know, something about it really reminded me of her wedding dress. I don't know if you guys got the same feeling or not. So let me go ahead and pull it up. So you see that she's got like that, like kind of like chain link sort of a necklace and everything. It's really beautiful and everything, but it reminded me so much of it. And I loved that red wedding dress. Listen, I loved all of her wedding dresses, except for the one that she got married to Cordell in. I thought that one was a little bit basic. but the rest was really beautiful. So here it is. I'm going to pull it up for you guys, a picture of it. Right. So like you've got that kind of like loopy necklace, and then you got some of the like feathery texture and everything at the bottom and whatnot. I really like this. She showed out in her wedding attire for her sham of a marriage to Simon. My God. So anyway, she's complaining that Simon brought up her mom in his divorce filings. And I said, listen, your mom getting roped into this is your karma. You know, it is nothing compared to what you did to Dennis and his mom. You tried to beat him up and you tried to beat his mother up. So save it. You know, she's always the victim, you know, and she never can ever see what she does wrong to other people. Right. And like, I feel like if she had more introspection, she would be able to see why her life is the way that it is. She has sown a lot of very bad karma. And then even when she's crying about her daughter, wondering where Simon is, Pilar calls Simon Papa. Well, you know, why don't we talk about why you even facilitated that in the first place with a man that you don't even know? And your daughter's father is very much present in her life. Right. Very weird. And I remember that she caught a lot of heat for even letting Pilar, when she was just dating Simon, she was letting Pilar roll around on his lap in a golf cart or something like that, you know. And I think Kim Kardashian got similar heat with Northwest and Pete Davidson, right? She's not careful at all with her daughter. And I think, you know, I worry she's going to continue with this. You know, you would think she'd grow up and mature after having a child and be more careful, but her love of money is just too damn strong. It really is. Good morning, two snaps in a Z formation. How you doing, boo? Ramster says, a sentence I'll never hear. I loved you in all your wedding dresses. She had so many. I love all her dresses. She had so many. Didn't she do like 4 different wedding dresses or something for her wedding to Simon? And honestly, every single one was a banger. Super beautiful. Jasmine says, Portia's always a victim in her universe. Exactly. And everybody has to bow down to her. And I hate that people like her mother and Shamia, they facilitate this in her instead of calling her on her ish. And by the way, speaking of things I hate that Simon is in ICE custody. Come on. If he were on Twitter, he would have clocked everything. He would have pulled out every receipt on her. It's crazy. You know, that's the crazy thing about the whole ICE custody thing that y'all have going on over there. You would think that someone who is purported to be as rich as Simon would have been able to get this handled, right? To weasel his way out of it by now. But no, that's not the case. And it's been at least a month, right? What's going on there? Like, what do they do? Is it like, is he waiting for a court date to fight to stay? What exactly is he waiting for? And how did they get him? Because sometimes on TikTok, I see videos of ICE agents outside of people's homes or something. Like there's some lawyers who share videos of them pulling up to their clients' homes. And then they're saying, no, ICE cannot come into the house. They cannot do this. And so they're protecting their clients. And these are regular people, right? And some of them don't even look like they have many means. And then you've got Simon, you know, with his mansion and his private jets and all of his luxury cars. How the hell did he get picked up? I'm so curious about that. Tadisha says, when you have small kids, you can't have everyone around them. Portia thought she was going to live it up with Simon's cash. Exactly. Portia, you were rich on your own. You know, you can find a guy. He doesn't have to be crazy rich. You know, you don't have to go through these great lengths to be with like a sugar daddy type. Just find a nice regular guy. Like, you know, hang it up at this point. It's not working for you. And it's not a healthy way to go through life at all, especially when you have a daughter to be looking out for. Now, you know, honestly, I truly am just so curious about the ICE situation that Simon is in. And I agree with you, Acacia, that Portia definitely reported him. Would you guys, if you were in that kind of a situation, would you report your ex if you say that he's as bad as Portia says that he is, you know, and you're trying to fight for your right to stay in your home and he's trying to kick you out or something? Here's the thing, though. How is that mortgage getting paid for? Well, you know what? I guess it's automatic. But it's not like he has a salary. He's got a business and he needs to be working. And now for the past month, he must be losing a crap ton of money because he's not working, right? He's not making business deals or anything like that. So what happens to that? You know, I wouldn't be surprised if you see that house go into foreclosure or something like that. And wouldn't that be unfortunate? And what happens to his children? It's crazy. Honestly, I wish that guy did things the right way. Not smart at all. So anyway, long tangent, but all the girls meet together because sweet little Kelly, again, I really love her. She throws some sort of like a tea party or a lunch to support Brit Edie. And when all the girls are around the table, Britt finds out, and I find out too, I had no idea that all of the girls had met up with Kenya after the incident to get her side of things. And Britt was really upset about that. And then she's like, how could you guys do this to me? Like, she ruined my life. Like, this is never going to go away. I agree. However, she starts talking about how her insurance license was almost taken away because of this. And Angela, who just so happens to be licensed as well, was like, wait a minute, I got the same thing you got. And I know very well that they cannot just take away your license because someone started, sharing explicit photos of you, or people are spreading rumors about you. That's not how it works. What are you, she didn't say this, but, it's very obvious that she's like, what are you really doing to get your license put in jeopardy, right? And Britt got super duper hostile, defensive and everything with Angela. She kept on distracting and everything to avoid actually answering the question, all the deflections and everything. It was crazy. And, then in her talking head, she's like, how do I trust these ladies? I'm like, why is this woman so paranoid? The only thing we've really known about this girl, like since she joined, number one, she was a high school video vixen, which is very alarming. And number two, she doesn't have any female friends. She doesn't get along with women, and she doesn't even get along with her sisters. And to me, massive red flag. A girl who cannot get along with any other girl or lady, that's crazy. It used to be this bragging point for women, like, oh, like I think women are catty. I'm like a guy's girl. All right, girl. You're a pick me. That's what you are. It used to be like this big popular thing, but like we've grown from that, right? And so just the fact that in the 2020s, Britt, grown-ass woman is still talking about this, like it's not going to make her look suspicious. It does. In my opinion, if you cannot get along with a single woman, not even one in your family, you are the problem. You are. Ramsey says, reporting your ex is as smart as shooting your foot. And I agree. Because again, he's paying those bills and he needs to cut that check. And if he's in ICE custody, those bills are not going to be paid. Jess says, we don't really know the entire inner workings of ICE, but now they started taking people at safe haven locations and sending them to jail in El Salvador. Scary stuff. Lord, I heard that there was like this story recently about how an American citizen was sent to El Salvador. And then, of course, America has the responsibility to bring him back. But then El Salvador was like, oh, no, we're not giving him back or something like that. God bless you guys. I'm speechless. Tadisha says, Kelly is the most transparent to me. I love her story. Me too. I felt like her daughter is cute and everything, but like, when she was like, oh, I never want to get married. I don't want to end up like you. I was like, damn, kids can be so mean. Like, Kelly's heartbroken already. And then, to hear that was kind of harsh. Jasmine says, Angela clocked Britt, and thank God she did. I loved that. Like, she also was in the know. And so, because I would have never, second guessed what it is that Britt said. She said so many things so quickly, right? So I'm happy that Angela was clocked in and ready to call it out indeed. I love Lil' Kim. Aren't you messy, Z Formation? And you know what? Her stylist was really, really cute too. I loved her stylist. What was the stylist name? I forgot, but the stylist was adorable. And yes, Stephanie, that she clocked it. And I'm so happy about that. I love Angela. I really do. And they kept on getting on her for her apparent hot flashes or something, because she always has that fan. And I didn't even notice it until they said it. But yeah, it is true. She is always walking around with a fan, and everyone else seems pretty chill. Tadisha says, I wasn't sure how to feel about Angela as a newbie, but she gets a point for me for clocking Britt. Yeah, same here. I like her a lot. And I think her voice is just so soothing. I really, there are certain voices that you just love. You know who else has a voice I love? I think you guys love her as well. Layla Lynn here on YouTube. I could listen to her talk forever. Her voice is just so beautiful. I really love it. And so at this point, Kelly gets them to switch places at the table, right? And so Shamia picks it back up, but she says, okay, well, I guess you didn't like it when Angela asked the question, but I'm going to pick it back up and ask this question. So, why are you facing the risk of getting your license taken away? And at this point, Britt, what did she say, you guys? Because I still feel like the explanation was kind of insufficient in my opinion. So I don't know, y'all. I think she was doing something that she shouldn't have been doing, and that's the real reason why she's at risk of losing her license. And she's pissed that these girls are maintaining some sort of a relationship with Kenya. And so she wants to guilt them out of having any kind of communication with her. And, listen, when you got somebody else in the same industry as you who can clock you, it's not exactly going to work. And so However, after all that drama, the episode did end on a good note. And at this point, Shamia, and it's not even her event, right? By the way, this was Kelly's event. But Shamia, she just says, listen, I want for us to all like bring out the best in each other. I want positivity, good vibes and everything. And then she says, why don't we all get to dancing? So they do like the little 1, 2, what is it? Line dancing type thing or something like that. And I thought it was really beautiful. I loved Kelly's event. It was so glamorous, so elegant. I love the whole Capri style decor of it all. And all the ladies looked beautiful, dressed beautifully. And then them just dancing together to end the episode. Chef's kiss. Shamia is a star, I fear. She is a star. I love the energy that she brings. And she did such a great job of being able to tie these girls together and end the episode off on a clean note. Farrah says that Angela was lying about menopause. I'm in menopause. Girl. You know, sometimes y'all say things and I'm like, because I'm here looking at you guys like you're like 30s or something like that. Farrah, you're in menopause? Hang on. What? You look so young. Oh my God, y'all look so young. These stories. Farrah, I could have sworn you were in your 30s or something like that. Oh my God. Wow. Steph says Britt deflected the reason the entire time by arguing with Angela. Exactly. I read somewhere that Britt was never really, oh, that would be crazy. Is this going to be the next Real Housewife criminal? If that's the case, oh, wow. Jasmine says either Britt is lying about being investigated or it's true, but the investigation is from something else she did. I think it's from something else she did. She might have been doing some kind of fraudulent activities. Hey, Caroline, enjoy the rest of your day as well. And thanks so much for popping by. Girl, you're 47. Hang on, let me zoom in again. What? Wow, I never would have guessed. You got it going on. Damn. Wow. My goodness gracious, I never would have guessed. Wow. Tadisha says, Shamia is an excellent addition. I agree. And I'm excited because apparently we're going to get to see her and Portia's fallout on this season of the show. So stay tuned, you guys, okay? And it's nothing but the truth, Farrah. You look amazing. And Melissa is here for the replay crew. Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for joining us for the replay because we have officially finished today's episode of the morning report. Let's just wrap it up on Ramster's comment here. Menopause is so underestimated pre, during, and post. If men had it, there would be a solution decades ago. Exactly. The amount of things we women have to go through is insane. From even like, you know, you're talking about menopause, and post. What about, you know, this is like for us every month with our cycles too. It's always something with the female body. Oh my God. I wish we had it easier. I really, really do. You guys, thank you for joining me again for another episode of the Morning Report. Per usual, I had the greatest time chatting with you, and I'm looking forward to tomorrow's episode. We will be live again tomorrow at 10 o'clock Eastern Standard Time in the morning, of course, to talk about the day's hottest stories. If you enjoyed this episode, please don't hesitate to go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And I'll see y'all tomorrow. And we'll also be recapping The Valley live tomorrow after tomorrow's morning report. So please watch The Valley. Season 2 premieres tonight. Bye, guys.